I'm Rebecca Davis. I'm the deputy editor at Well and Good, which is a Webby Award-winning health and wellness site. I'm so excited to be moderating this conversation with Dr. Frank Lipman and Sadie Lincoln to talk about the connection between exercise, mind, body, all of these incredible things. Just for quick intros, Dr. Frank Lipman really doesn't need much of an introduction. He's a pioneer in the functional medicine space, New York Times bestselling author, and founder of the wellness brand Be Well. Sadie is the founder and CEO of Bar3, which is a very innovative, very fun, whole body workout, and an incredible boutique fitness studio that is now in, is it 100 different studios at this point?
Mm-hmm. We have 100 open. Yep.
With also online workouts that you can do from anywhere. So I'm very excited to hear both of your perspectives when it comes to exercise, workouts, fitness, and movement in general. I looked up a stat. The US health club industry is a $22 billion industry. So it's something that people are spending time and money on. But I think there's always questions about what works, what is most beneficial, and there's so much noise around it that it's really hard to discern what is doing the body good. So I'm thrilled for us to dive into this. And to start, I would like to just kind of throw out something super basic, but just so we have this baseline. When it comes to working out and movement and exercise, what would you say is the most powerful connection between exercise and specifically mental well-being?
Sadie, you want to take it, or should I?
I'm happy to. So the most powerful benefit, is that right, Rebecca,
Mm-hmm.
of connecting exercise to mental health?
Yeah.
I think that the most powerful, it's more of an entryway. I think that moving is an entry point to connect with oneself. It's powerful when we can exercise and start to tune our awareness into how our body feels and actually connect the mind, which our mind is often in our thoughts, right? And thoughts are either from the past, they're things we are imagining, they're not really real. But when you exercise, it's real. You're feeling your heart beating, you're feeling your muscles burn, you're maybe cutting out cortisol, which is a stress hormone, with the happy hormone serotonin, and you're noticing a lift in your mood. And just those observations as you move, if you can start to channel your thoughts in your mind to how you're feeling when you exercise, I think is one of the most profound ways to get centered, to feel good, and to move in a way that will serve you all day long versus right in the moment.
And I'll take it a bit further, because probably the best way to protect your mind or to calm your mind is to move your body. One of the benefits of exercise, which a lot of people don't even talk about, is how helpful it is for the mind. And so many people exercise to lose weight, which probably is not going to happen from exercising, but exercising is so beneficial for the mind, and people don't really realize it. You sleep better when you exercise. You know, one of the ways to prevent Alzheimer's, for instance, is to exercise more. One of the ways to help your sugar metabolism, which is going to help prevent Alzheimer's as well, is to exercise. So exercise is affecting your bodies in multiple ways, but it's also affecting your mind. And to me, the mind and the body is the same thing, but it has very powerful effects on the mind, which people don't really talk about. So I just think, and you know, the one thing I would like to say is, if we stop using the term exercise and rather use the term move your body, which I know Sadie talks about a lot, I think that would probably be helpful, because so many people are scared of exercising, but when you just say you've got to move your body, that's actually a little bit more helpful for people. I mean, Sadie, I know you talk a lot about that. So, what's your take on that?
Well, I just want to go back and just point out what you said, because I think it's important, that I think so many of us exercise to lose weight, or we exercise to build muscle. And that's what we've been told for years is the answer. And specifically, if you exercise in certain ways for a certain amount of time, then that is the formula to lose weight. And I think many of us just focus all of our attention on exercise for that very result, when, to your point, we often fail if that's what we're attached to, because that's not really the answer. There's so much more to exercise than just losing weight and building muscle. If your mind is centered, if you are metabolizing blood sugar better, you will likely lose weight in the long run, because it all fits in together. But it's less about, in my opinion, the 600 calories that you burnt on the treadmill and not burning, the fat in your body, than it is about the holistic picture of what exercise does for you the hours you're not exercising. And I think that shift is very liberating. And then exercise becomes fun and about moving and about enjoying your body. And, if we all enjoy our bodies, it doesn't matter how big we are anyways, right? It's really about feeling good that matters, and confident.
Yeah, and I think, just to not take your point, we're going to go back and forth. The holistic aspect of exercise is really important, because exercise is affecting everything in your body. It's even affecting your microbiome. Who would have thought that how you exercise is going to affect the bugs in your gut? But I just read a study, fairly recently, that people who exercise more had more diversity in their microbiome. They had more different bugs in their microbiome. So exercise is affecting us in probably ways we don't even realize, because we haven't measured it per se. But exercise is one of those key ingredients for, to stay well and to be healthy. From decreasing inflammation to improving your metabolism to helping your mind. So it's affecting us in so many ways that we aren't even aware of. And if you could put exercise into a pill, it would be a multi-billion-dollar seller. In fact, they try to do that.
I was just going to say, they've tried to do that.
Yeah.
Don't believe them.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think exercise, there are not that many things that you can do. Most people know after exercising, there's that improvement in your mood. I mean, there's a feeling of well-being. There are not that many things that give us that feeling apart from exercise. I mean, there are a few things. So exercise or movement, let's stop calling it exercise. Movement is one of those key ingredients that I think to live a healthy lifestyle, you need to incorporate.
Mm-hmm. Well, and to your point, this idea of not exercise, but moving your body, are all forms of movement made equal? Like, will going for a walk have the same impact or the same positive impact as, let's say, going to SoulCycle?
Well, SoulCycle has way better rockin' tunes than a walk. I love SoulCycle, and I love walking. And I think what's more important is less about what modality of exercise is the one or the answer, but what you need in the moment. It's really about tuning into yourself and figuring out, okay, what do I need right now? Do I need a heart pumping endorphin high? Do I need that good soundtrack and the instructor and bikes and sweat? There's some days you want to blow off steam and you want that experience. Or do I really need to go outside and breathe and be with my dog and not go on a power walk, just a stroll around the neighborhood? Is that what I need? And then I think the key thing is to unbrainwash ourselves to think that that's crazy, exciting SoulCycle class is just as beneficial and results-oriented as a stroll with the pups around the neighborhood, if it's what you need in that moment. Just as results-oriented. And I think that's where we get caught up, is we all have our own definition of what success is with exercise, and then we have shame if we don't do it. because it's so narrowly defined, and we've been told that that's what achieving is. Working out with your heart rate up at a certain amount of minutes, you know, burning this many calories, is this cardio? I mean, I constantly get asked by clients, you know, how much cardio do I need? How much strength training do I need? How many minutes do I really need to, you know, get rid of this stomach fat or this thing I'm trying to get rid of? And my answer is always, you know, that's not the answer. You know, it's really a bigger picture, and just to love when you move, just enjoy moving. And then maybe open your mind to that it's so much more than just exercise. So much more. It's how you sleep. It's the relationships you build. It's the relationship you have with yourself. It's what you eat, the things you choose to drink, you know, the body work you choose, everything around you, how you surround yourself with a culture of good health is what ultimately helps you get to where you need to be.
Yeah, I think Sadie is right on. She usually is. I think the beauty of learning to listen to your body is you start getting in touch with the type of movement that you need. You know, when you're burnt out, going to Soul Cycle is probably not the best idea. Going for a walk or doing some restorative yoga. It depends on your age. As you get older, you need different types of exercise. You know, I'm getting older. What's probably more important for me now is actually doing exercises that are going to help me as I get even older. You know, seeing that my core gets stronger. You know, strengthening my core for my balance. So I think it all depends on where you are at the moment, how old you are, and what your needs are, depending on your age. So I think, as Sadie said, there's no one right movement for everyone. There's no one right movement for any particular day. But I think starting to incorporate all different types of movement, and what I love about, you know, what Sadie does with bar 3, it's much more functional. You're trying to strengthen muscles that we often aren't using. I think what happens, and it's happened to me, I mean, I'm talking from experience. When I started getting into exercise, I was doing one particular exercise of going to the gym and working certain muscles and not working muscles that my body normally needs to function properly. And I think what I've realized as I've, you know, or unlearning a lot of old habits that I had, it's more about, you know, learning to use your body in an appropriate way. So your body, you know, that's why I love the whole functional movement concept, which is bar 3 is more about functional. Is that right?
That's right.
Did you say that?
Mm-hmm.
I think, to me, movement is learning to use muscles that we should be using and we're not using, which is very difficult. When I, years ago, started, you know, I went to a friend of mine who was a trainer, and he made me start doing really simple things, like crawling along the floor or sort of just, you know, getting up and down from a chair. And I realized how hard it was for me because I never did that. So, you know, teaching your body simple things that you haven't been doing can be probably more effective than going to a Soul Cycle class. Not that I'm saying Soul Cycle is a bad thing. I mean, I love cycling, broke my wrist cycling, but I think they're different. You know, you got to adjust your exercise to how you're doing at the time, you know, that particular day. But also as you get older, I think exercise changes as you get older. What my daughter does and what you young people do for exercise is a little bit different. What's going to benefit me as I get older. So I think it's about adapting to your needs. Is sort of what you said, right?
One thing that we all have in common, though, whether you're 13 years old or 70 years old, is we sit too much. We are a culture of sitting. It's the new black plague in my mind. You know, even if you get that really, you know, amazing hard workout in the morning, if you sit in the car on your way to work, you sit at your desk, you sit on your car on your way home, you sit on the couch and then you lie down, there's going to be, that's not healthy. And one thing, you know, we focus on at bar 3 is not the hour you're spending with us necessarily, but what you're learning in that moment with us that will inform you all day long. So you remember to get up during the day and not sit as much. And if you do sit as much, we work on the glutes, we work on all the postural muscles that are weakened by the amount of sitting we do. The slumping of the shoulders, we work on opening the chest, building back body strength, open heart. to balance our bodies back to where where we're designed to be. And I think that's something we all need to be conscious of all the time, is that our bodies are not meant to do what we have them do most of our days. And so just being aware as we move, use movement as a vehicle to discover those imbalances in your own body. So you're more aware all day long how to be healthy, because that's when the real results happen, is the in-between moments. It's not necessarily the protein smoothie you had in the morning and the workout. It's what you do in all those other in-between moments of your days that will give you, in my opinion, the absolute best results, you know, you can imagine.
Couldn't agree more, by the way. I think that's so important to realize that, you know, they're calling sitting the new smoking. So it's what we do in between all those exercise classes. It's a great point, Sadie. Thanks.
Well, in an ideal world, what would a day look like? How often do you need to be moving if you're sitting at a desk all day to kind of counteract that lack of activity?
Well, what they're saying is you should really get up every 45 minutes. So you should sit for 45 minutes, get up, go get some water, go speak to someone. So you should, you know, every hour you should be theoretically getting up. You shouldn't be just be sitting at your desk. And what's become easier and easier, and therefore I'm sitting on a ball, because you know, there are different ways you can do it. You can be at a standing desk. How come I'm not? Have you seen me, by the way? So you can be sitting, you know, standing at a desk, sitting on a exercise ball. There's so many ways you can do it, but theoretically you should be getting up every hour.
Yeah, and just even, and I love that you mentioned the exercise ball, standing desks, any kind of moving surface that you can sit on really helps the body tremendously. There's no reason we need to sit all the time. We really can figure out ways to get up and be active and move. I also think another thing that was a big breakthrough for me is this idea of moving all day versus having my workout only be 60 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever. You know, everybody has their own definition of what a real workout is. And to know that if you work out in 10-minute chunks, which everybody can find 10 minutes to do, you know, some plank work, a walk, you know, running up the stairs, doing a bar 3, 10-minute workout, whatever it is. It's a quick workout, and you get that same afterburn, that same high, that same energy that you get from a 60-minute workout. And you can incorporate those throughout your day. As I've studied the industry, I've been in the industry for 25 years now. And I studied anthropology and sociology, so I'm a study of people. And I have noticed over and over again that the healthiest and happiest people I know are the people that move all day. They're not necessarily exercise junkies. In fact, they're usually not. They're those ones that just kind of are more fluid and open and moving, and think of life as active in general versus it being something that they compartmentalize as something they need to achieve.
Does time of day that you do your workout have an impact? Or should you really be breaking it up and doing these little 10-minute spurts throughout the day?
I think every day is different. So our body changes literally every single moment. Like from the beginning of this webinar to now, my body's changing. And so I think that's really important for all of us to remember. If our body's in constant change and flex, so should our exercise program. So should how we move. So should how we eat. So should how we, you know, relate to life in general. And having a really flexible, you know, system around movement, I think is really important. Some days it might feel really good to work out in the mornings, and test that for a while. If that starts to be a drag, don't do it anymore, because you don't want it to be a drag. You want it to be, you know, amazing. Other days, moving all day is more your jam. You know, I think it's just, it really is. And why I love my meditation practice, or going to acupuncture, or, you know, doing just mindful reading, journaling, those kinds of activities, is that it builds your self-awareness muscle, that muscle that tells you when to work out, which that's a hard muscle to build, because we're so bombarded with noise about other people telling us how to exercise and how to move and what to do. But I really firmly believe that every single one of us has our own answers. We are our own best teachers. We just need to learn to look inside and kind of figure that out, and to trust it, and, go for it.
And I think the other part is that we have body rhythms, and everyone's body rhythm is a little bit different. Some people actually do better when they're exercising in the morning. Some people do better when they're exercising in the afternoon. See how it makes you feel. Some people even do better when they exercise at night. Not that most people don't do as well when they exercise hard at night. It often affects their sleep. But it can vary when you feel best when you exercise. For most people, it's in the morning, but for a lot of people, it's in the afternoon. So that's affected by body rhythms.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what about cross-training? If you hear so much about the value of discipline and getting in like rhythm or habit, but is there value in consciously mixing up your workouts so that you're hitting different parts of the body regularly?
Yes, but again, I would say that even then, I know people like to be really orderly and planned, but I also I love to be the voice of moving intuitively. And trust your intuition and what your body needs to do versus I need to get my cardio in, my strength, my isometric work, my yoga, my spin, instead of being really, I just really give people full permission to not be too structured. Because I think we have been locked down with these formulas for too long. I think that we need to unlock the formulas and know that you are your own best teacher, and that yes, move your body in a variety of different ways and move in a way that feels really amazing, and get teachers, have people with a point of view who do push you, because even though I'm saying move in a variety of ways, you do want discomfort. You do want that tension in your body. That's where change happens, just like in anything. Any kind of challenge makes us better as people, and it makes our body better too. But you want to challenge yourself just enough so that it doesn't create injury. It doesn't create a negative anchor to exercise that's more like a chore. And often learning how to do that involves finding good teachers and people who motivate you. I think that's more important than like getting specific types of exercise in.
I couldn't agree more. Once again, Sadie, you always nail it. Yeah, I think that is important. I mean, the thing I do like about CrossFit, not that I've ever done it, is that it's using so many different parts of the body. I mean, or put it this way, the thing I don't like about certain exercises, it's just using very specific parts of the body. And that's what I used to do until I became aware how limiting that is. So I do like that part of CrossFit. And I agree with Sadie, having a teacher, a good teacher who can push you and who's aware of your body, because what you do is possibly a little bit different from what the next person does. How you do it. I mean, we all get injuries and our body compensates. So I think having someone who understands the body, watching over you, showing you what to do is actually pretty helpful. But the idea of using all different parts of the body, I think, is a great idea. But I agree 100% with Sadie. Finding a teacher that motivates you is really helpful. And the whole community aspect of CrossFit, of Bar 3, I think is really important, something we haven't even talked about yet. The community aspect of Soul Cycle, of Bar 3, of CrossFit is huge. I mean, to me, the community aspect of yoga and yoga studios is huge, and no one really talks about it. When you feel you're part of a tribe, I think that's very powerful, especially when you've got people you can relate to, you can talk about these things. So becoming part of the CrossFit tribe, the Bar 3 tribe, the Soul Cycle tribe is a huge, huge plus for whatever you're doing.
I totally agree. We always talk about it at Bar 3. One of our core values is that relationships are just as healthy and results oriented as the exercises. And those moments in our lobby when we hand the baby off to childcare, for example, we really take that as an important moment, a moment of magic. We have childcare in most of our studios, and the conversations you have in the lobby in between classes, just sharing an experience with a group of people live in person is so powerful. And I feel like in this day and age, it's hard to actually find time to connect and be a part of a community that aren't necessarily your best friends, but it's like being a part of something. I think we all really crave that. I also think it's important to be around people that are different than you. I think diversity is really important. Diversity of age, of ideas, of body. I think we thrive in those kinds of environments, and that often we tend to kind of start to hang out with the same kind of people over and over again. And going to a class is one way you can get out there and experience the wisdom of so many different amazing people.
Yeah, it seems like it really taps into what you both mentioned, which is the mental health component. When you have this community, when you build friendships or socialize in this setting, can be really valuable. Are there times though where exercise could actually be hurting your well-being?
Oh, big time, yes. I see that a lot when people exercise too hard. We sort of touched on it earlier, but especially when people are exhausted, fatigued, burnt out, which is a lot of people I see in New York, they push themselves even more because they're tired and they think the exercise is going to help them. But exercise is a stress on the body, albeit a good stress. But if you push yourself too hard, especially when you're exhausted, that's probably the worst thing you can do for yourself. As Sadie was saying earlier, those are the times where you need to go for a walk with your dog, do some restorative yoga, do something a little bit more yin as opposed to yang. We have such a yang culture. You do something a little bit more yin and balance that out. So adapting your exercise to where you're at is really important. And I see a lot of that when, and a good tip is if after an exercise class you feel exhausted, then you've pushed yourself too hard and you need to step back and take it easy with your exercise. Not that you shouldn't exercise, but you should find a type of exercise or the amount of exercise where you don't push yourself over the edge. So I think that's a great question. And I think a lot of people, especially in New York City, you need to listen to that, because pushing yourself too hard is not necessarily always the right thing.
Yeah, I always say we're such sensation junkies. We all have this idea of no pain, no gain. I have to feel it. I need to be drenched in sweat for it to matter. And sometimes that's great. A lot of times, just like Dr. Lipman just said, we're a yang society in general, meaning we're outward, we're energized, we're achieving outwardly. And that when we spend just as much attention and attentiveness to going inward and being calm and slow being our mantra to replace that go that so many of us see as success, that's when the magic happens. That's when the results we wanted in the first place happen. And I've seen that over and over and over again. And as a practical tip to figure out if you're going too much is, even if you love your workout, right? It's like your church, it's your thing. If afterwards, like Frank was saying, you feel depleted, that's a sure tell sign. But there are other signs. So you can start to connect the dots even like 24 hours after you exercise. Just start to connect the dots. Notice what your appetite's like, what kind of food you're eating. Notice your sleep. And then notice, at least for me at 44 years old, how you feel when you get out of bed in the morning. If you get out of bed and your feet hurt and your knees hurt and your low back hurts, maybe that exercise that felt good yesterday isn't actually serving you. And that's a humbling discovery, especially when it's something that you're really passionate about. And I think it's good to open our minds that there's so many other methodologies to figure out. I think that the most important thing with exercise always is that you're feeling good in the moment and even better afterwards. Yeah.
And when you're in the middle of class, how can you discern whether you are truly exhausted and probably shouldn't be doing something, or you just don't want to push through that plank for another 15 seconds?
It's just ask yourself, what do I really need right now? And you know the answer. What do I really need right now? Am I a little bit fearful of pushing myself? Am I scared to see if I can go there, if I can really rock this plank for 30 more seconds? Am I kind of, in that pattern of backing off to be safe? If that's your pattern, then go for it. Push yourself.
Okay.
But I would say more often than not, it's pushing yourself through plank because maybe you did plank awesome yesterday or 6 months ago. Maybe your neighbor next to you is doing plank awesome and the instructor is telling you to do plank, but your shoulder's screaming at you and it hurts and you're pushing through it because you're supposed to, or you're attached to that idea that plank is success. And in that moment, it's such a learning moment. It's what do I really need right now? Oh, you know what? I need to modify my plank pose and be okay with that that's success. That's achievement. That is going to make me grow and be healthier and get the results I want in the first place. Do plank at the ballet bar at bar 3. Get on your knees. Go on your forearms. Maybe do child's pose. Maybe not exercise at all. It's just a constant asking, what do I need right now?
That's one of the things I love about bar 3. And you had mentioned earlier this idea of sometimes of shame. And in bar 3, you're given options and you can then kind of figure out for each move what feels best for you.
Yeah.
And I do think for people who are very active, there can be shame around injuries. If you're injured, that suddenly you're not as healthy or as well because you can't go out and do a boot camp or run a marathon. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
There is nothing more demoralizing and frustrating than someone who identifies with being physical, which is me, probably Dr. Lipman too. Many of us that are listening right now, we identify with being physical. We love, running 10 miles, whatever it is, getting out and getting after it. It's nothing more frustrating for those kinds of people when we get injured. And it's a humbling, horrific process for many of us because we see the injury as a failure, as your body failing you, right? And a lot of us have shame around injury. We want to push through it. We want to deny it. We want to push it away. And I think the big practice in life is to honor the injury and figure out a way around it versus pushing through it. And that's one of the things I'm most proud of at bar 3 that we've done. And it's really driven from my personal experience. I keep scratching my own itch. I have chronic low back issues and I love a good endorphin high and I love to be challenged. And a lot of the workouts I would go to modify because of my low back were patronizing. They weren't really exciting. They weren't intelligent, honestly. They didn't challenge me in the way I needed to be challenged. And so we figured out a way. We don't even use the word modify anymore. We use the word adapt because really it's about adapting a move to your body. And when you adapt something, you evolve, you move forward. So it really is possible to move forward for any of you out there that are suffering an injury, including Dr. Frank Lipman with his broken wrist right now. I feel you. There are so many options around that injury to continue to evolve and adapt. And I'll say my most physical clients, the one that I love the most. I have Division I athletes that come to me, triathletes, NBA basketball players. We have this new, group of NBA basketball players that have been talking about us. Usually, interestingly enough, the men that come to our classes are athletes. And what is fun for me to watch them discover is that sometimes not exercising is their exercise. So learning a new way in. So maybe that's meditating. Maybe that's taking more, breaks in child's pose. And it's doing these things to honor exactly what they need and finding out how that, and this is the important point, improves their performance and improves their ability to get back in the game quicker. Yeah, that's pretty much what we're all about.
Sadie, you always, it's such a pleasure always speaking with you because you're so wise. I really love it. Well, I agree with you 100%. Since, I love riding outdoors. Took me a while to come to terms with this because I can't ride for another 6 weeks. I had surgery 2 weeks ago. But you know what? I've started meditating again. So I'm adapting. I'm going to start doing some more standing poses in yoga. So I'm going to start doing things that I probably wasn't doing enough of before. But most important, I have to adjust. There's not, your ability to adapt, I think, is important in health in general, never mind just exercise. Your resilience and your ability to adapt to the circumstances that you're in is a key factor in health, and whether it's exercise or anything. So adaptability is really important. And we don't really talk about adaptability, resilience. I mean, these to me are key aspects of health in general, and works with exercise.
No matter what age you are.
Yeah.
I have a workout. So I broke my elbow on my kid's hoverboard on Christmas Day 2 years ago, like many other Americans and parents. Broke my elbow, horrible experience, obviously, but I got right on camera. I asked the team to film a workout with me with a broken elbow because I wanted to just take people along with me on that ride of, yeah, I have a broken elbow. This really sucks. I love working out. It's what I do. It's the epicenter of my whole entire company is teaching classes, using my upper body. So I did a whole lower body workout that's really, I figured it out. I figured out how to adapt a whole 30-minute workout, which would be great for you, Frank, right now.
Send it, yes.
But doesn't involve the upper body. And I think that's the other thing with fitness personalities and public figures is more of us coming out and sharing our real story. We are not superheroes. We are not superhuman. We are not gurus. The figures out there in health and wellness, like Dr. Lipman, are educators. They're guides. They help people figure out how they can move better, how they can, get at it. And I think an important part of that is being vulnerable and being open and honest that, we all are human beings and we all go through these struggles. And, there's I think, great strength in that.
In an earlier conversation, the term body wisdom came up. And I'm curious to hear a bit more about ways that you can exercise that maybe aren't traditionally thought of as exercise. Dr. Lipman, you mentioned meditation, I think acupuncture. Are there these other things that work your body in ways that people might not traditionally think of?
What I will say to that is I'm talking from a perspective of people coming to me with injuries or with problems. And what I see a lot of is someone has, let's say, an injury of the ankle and it's not treated properly. So they go to the doctor and the doctor says, well, just rest it for, a couple of weeks and you'll be fine. And what happens is the body adapts, once you know the word adapt, where some fibrous tissue or the fascia gets thickened, and the way your body adapts to that is maybe your hip, if it was your right ankle, your left hip has to work harder, your right hip tightens, and you maybe get back pain. So I think where body work, I think, is really important in this whole exercise movement is to treat acute injuries or chronic injuries so your body, the structure and the alignment is more correct, so you don't then go on and further injure yourself. Because what I see a lot, most people who come to see me with low back pain, for instance, the problem is often not their back, but it could be their head, but it often starts in the ankle and then their knee. Or if I see someone with an elbow pain, the problem may be their neck or their shoulder, because muscles in their shoulder are tight and those muscles aren't firing properly. It puts more strain on the arm muscles to work harder. So to me, acupuncture, active release technique, or body work type of things are there to actually help release the tight fascia, get those muscles firing so your alignment and your structure can be better in exercising. So I see it all as one big picture, but I see the acupuncture and the body work as helping to get muscles firing again, helping to release fascia so the alignment is better, so you can exercise in a way that you're not going to hurt yourself.
Yeah, body wisdom. One of my sayings is people come to bar 3 for a hard body and they leave with a wise body. And because we really focus on that, we have a specific sequence that we take clients through over and over again. It starts with a hold. So we're still in our body. And I think a mindful practice of holding the body and focusing on alignment and what I call the inner mirror is really thinking about actually having a love of learning and awe and wonder about your body is really important to be able to live a vital life and to exercise or do whatever you love to do better. So we start with a hold where we get everybody in position and we have them hold, which is an isometric contraction too, which works the muscle at the deepest point. But in that moment, more importantly, we're working on breath. So your body is in struggle because the muscles are working, but we're working on breathing, which I think is one of the best tools for body wisdom, is to learn to truly breathe in the belly and the heart, all the way through the shoulders, up through the neck, and then all the way out again. Most of us just breathe in our chest. And just a side note, we've all been taught to suck the belly in, and all the research now is about have a soft belly. Let your belly expand. Wear loose clothing if that helps you get over that, but let your belly expand. Let your body really breathe. And during that moment of holding, you're aligning your body and you're learning about your body. And you have a moment to discover, what do I really need right now? Do I need to adjust this posture so I'm really doing this in a way that is with integrity, that's going to help my ankles, my knees, my low back, my wrists, my shoulders, all those areas that tend to trigger pain. How can you get out of it? We layer on small movement after that, which is in a lot of bar programs, and that allows just a little bit of buoyancy in the body, a little bit of rhythm. That's when the shakes happen. And then we add on the functional movement. So that's when we take that principle that we just learned all that good alignment, that good breath work, that good awareness, and then we take it into, and this is what I think makes bar 3 a little bit different, is we take that awareness into real movement. So that's the functional movement that Dr. Lipman was talking about. Okay, you've aligned yourself. Now sit and stand, or reach up like you were reaching something from the top shelf of a cupboard and pull it down. So we do big life movement with that awareness. So I thought maybe that would help, just those steps, to think about everybody, whether you do bar 3 or not, think about those 3 steps in your life. How can you be still, be mindful, move small first to check it out, kind of learn more, and then take it into real life.
And let me add something that I think is quite fascinating. Most people should know about the fascia. It's that thin lining that surrounds all the muscles, all the organs. When you cut open a chicken, you see that thin, like saran wrap that covers everything. So that's connected from head to toe, or you connected with that from head to toe. And actually, I'm a believer that the acupuncture meridians run through those fascial planes from a Western perspective, because we don't have a concept of energy and meridians. But probably from a Western perspective, the acupuncture meridians is running through those fascial planes. So the fascia in your feet can get tight and it can cause headaches. So I'm a huge believer in foam rolling, tennis balls on your feet, but releasing that fascia, because often, with injuries or with tension, or it can be with a whole host of things, that fascia tightens. And when fascia tightens in one area, it can cause all sorts of problems in another area. So releasing your fascia, to me, is part of this whole movement idea, that it just frees up your body to move more freely. So having a foam roller around is always a good thing to have.
Foam roller, acupuncture, and certain kind of massage, right? Yep. It's gentler. So yep. For those of us who love sensation and a deep muscle massage, it's actually a gentler massage can really have profound impact. I definitely agree.
And I guess, kind of like you had mentioned earlier, Sadie, about how sometimes not exercising is your exercise. Mm-hmm. Can stretching, foam rolling, can that also in a way be your workout?
Absolutely, especially if it helps you move better all day long, mm-hmm. right? And I think it's just giving ourselves full permission, like, rolling. I did that this morning. I did chest openers on my foam roller. And just letting that be my exercise, my focused movement for the day. But I'm also going to run around and play with the dogs. I'll probably hit a 30-minute bar 3 workout later if I'm feeling it. If I don't, I'm not going to be shameful about it. You know, because tomorrow morning I can get up and, you know, hit the trails if I want to. It's really just about noticing how the choices you make affect all the other minutes of the day. That's really been helpful for me and so many people.
Well, for my last question, I would love to have both of you weigh in on just, you know, we've talked a lot about some of the facts and the myths of movement and working out. At the end of the day, what do you think a fit body really looks like? If it's not necessarily washboard abs or whatever we hear all the time, you know, what are the categories that people can look to if they want to figure out if they do have a fit, healthy body?
So I think that right away, when you said fit body, for me, right away, I saw things. Like, I think so many of us attach fit body to an ideal. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why at the beginning of this webinar, you said what you did, the research is multi-billion-dollar industry, the fitness industry is. So what has happened from a marketer's point of view is that attaching to an ideal sells like hotcakes. It sells like hotcakes. And we have been fed an ideal for many, many years about what a fit body looks like. And it works. And it's even really, you know, we're all really bright. We know better, but it still gets in there. It's in there. I know it's in there for me to this day. It's a practice for me to remember that a fit body has nothing to do with an ideal. Nothing to do with it. In fact, a fit body doesn't even have to do with who I used to be. Because a lot of times the ideal that we attach ourselves to is who we were before. And that might mean yesterday, it might mean before babies, it might mean in college, you know, but being attached to that former self is also an ideal. So my answer around fit body is that there is no such thing for everybody. There's no one fit body. And that we all have a body and we all have absolute power to be healthy in it and to love being in our own skin. And that when we detach ourselves from that ideal, that's when we can really discover what fit body means. And, you know, there's nothing more liberating to actually have those moments where you feel good in your own skin. And it's because you're your own best teacher. You surround yourself with really interesting people that are aligned, who help motivate you, help you grow, help you move, help you be centered, help you be happy. And you call it a day. That's a fit body.
Yeah, I mean, once again, I couldn't agree more. And I think part of having, you know, the concept of a fit body is where your head's at. How you see life. I mean, we all see life through different lenses. How you see yourself is probably most important. But having said that, you do want to be able to move freely throughout the day. And but it is going to be different at different times of your life. And after certain injuries, you know, if someone has, like I have a knee injury, to me a fit body is, I don't have to run anymore, but I can ride my bike, and my knee is perfectly fine for that. So I think you need to adjust your perception of what a fit body is, but you want to move freely, not have pain, but also it's really how you think about it. So once again, Sadie nailed it. Thank you, Sadie. I love listening to you. Love listening to you and hearing your wisdom on exercise. It's really so refreshing. So thank you.
Sweet. And I do think what you pointed out is important too, because it isn't about not being aware. I think love of learning is important, and knowing and understanding what healthy is, and that we really can change the telomeres in our body. Like they're like the ends of shoelaces on our chromosomes. Like you can change your health and your well-being and your longevity in life, and by the choices that you make. That it's, you know, it's not having an ideal fit body isn't like okay, we can all just eat donuts all day and sit on the couch and be happy. I mean, that's not the message I'm sending to, you know, I think being empowered with knowledge, and then enjoying your choices are important.
Right, and a fit body, I think, goes with everything else we're talking about. To me, a fit body is one part of this big picture. It's how you eat, it's how you sleep, it's how you think, the community around you. So, instead of, putting it into a little box, this is a fit body. You want, a fit mind, body, whatever it is. You want to be healthy. And being healthy, part of being healthy is moving freely and thinking freely and having a community and having passion in life and all these things. It's all part of having a fit body.
And an inner body and a love of the inner body. I was joking with some clients. I'm like, wouldn't it be funny if like you could walk in a room and be like, oh my gosh, Rebecca, your liver looks amazing today. Or like, Dr. Lipman, your microbiome is just amazing. Look at it. So, if we celebrated what went on the inside of our body as much as we do what you see on the outside, that would be something. I think we would all be a lot more aware. So that, again, it's that muscle of like going inside and really figuring out what's going on the inside of your body is where results happen.
Well, thank you both so much for sharing your wisdom on this topic. I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. I hope everyone tuning in did too, and is now inspired to get up and go for a walk or get some movement in their day. So thanks to everyone.